Yes, greetings and welcome everyone. We're still in a double positive lunar unit for another 17 minutes here. Hence the automatic results and the vlogging happening right now, right? So, first of all, it's a quick introduction to life in this operational environment of the heavens and the earth plane as a human being created in the image of God and after his own likeness. And also, later, or in due season, perhaps, and hopefully, you will further research and have revelation truly, legitimately, and wisely, and actually, practically, and successfully, safely, and godly, right, of the more detailed working mechanisms of how the universe works. Now, first of all, life is eternal and it's also cyclical. Now, one of the most important things is that one must comprehend that all of life is cyclical and all of life works according to a certain system and also rests that is completely, totally, and absolutely perfectly organized. We have insight into this. Thank God Almighty, and thank you to the wise men of old and the holy ones and the righteous elders worthy of double honors, and many more that have observed nature and identified the laws of nature in a certain order to a certain degree, and thus have also documented this, written this in books, and given this to us, right? So true legitimate wisdom, the beginning of wisdom is a fear of God, good understanding to all our practitioners. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and wisdom is my sister. Ha, a real good one, the best there is. And if you have a little bit of intelligent obedience to God or the Creator, or let's say the nature of natures, and you also are intelligently obedient to genuine, true wisdom, right? And you make your free will intelligently obedient to a little bit of wise divine guidance and particularly basic wisdom, and you practically apply it in your life, you have a very, very good life permanently, because you're living your life the way that is supposed to be lived. Generally speaking, you're living in harmony with the cycles of life, or also known as you are prudent, you are wise. Okay, now look, at the end of the day, it really simply looks like this to begin with. We'll go into some of the details now in that, see, first of all, as it is particularly relevant to every human being, you have got an overall simple period of human life of about 144 years. Now, all of life is eternal and perfectly universally ordered and progressing. Yet generally, we've got a long cycle to look at first. There's about 9 cycles of life that are relevant to any human being, generally speaking. You've got your simple overall period of human life of about 144 years. There are cycles within those 144 years of 7 years, okay? Then you've got your soul personality during all of this, right? And also during your entire simple period of overall human life during, up to 144 years of existence, right? Huh, interesting. And then you also have the annual life cycle period of 365 days approximately, divided into 7 segments of about 52 days. And that's the annual life cycle period that always starts on your birthday, ends just before and then starts on your birthday. And it's the same for every human, just that we all have different birthdays. And so every person, every human, at all times, basically, past, present, future, God willing, just simply has the same universal system that we exist in, and every person's life cycles are unique to them because of their unique birth date and moment that they took their first breath. And thus, because of that, everybody is subject to the same universal order and system of the cycles of life, yet everyone's life cycle is unique and can be mapped according to the birthday. Right? Now, listen. There's a certain amount of wisdom that is, available from holy books, the Holy Torah, the Holy Law, the Holy Bible, and a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life by H. Spencer Lewis. Rest in peace. Now, another thing is that, like, the greatest amount of wisdom that you could ever imagine, and it keeps increasing, and you increasingly receive it from, shall we say, God within, or what some would call the holy breath, or the cosmic mind, the divine mind within us, and one with us, actually, because we're created in the image of God and after his own likeness. So what I'm saying is that the genuine and the plus perfect divine guidance and instruction is always first and foremostly and primarily from God within, and the divine inspiration and communication that you receive in what could be classified as, communications from God within, or the cosmic source, or the cosmic mind, actually from the source of all life, the Creator, and God within you, and the thing that is known to some as the holy breath, where, for example, you may be seeking a remedy or some type of good, wise instruction, or you may be making an important decision in life, a good one, and all of a sudden you will have a sense of knowing, a divine inspiration that will show you, comfort you, guide you. We call this guidance, and it's from God's guidance, and it's from the holy breath, what some call the Holy Spirit, and or what would be classified as the cosmic mind, and or what could be classified as basically like a divine intuition within. And that's the permanent and eternal and plus perfect, always safe source of all guidance in life. So yes, there are certain amounts of wisdom that certain people have, and that is good, yet the ultimate instruction is directly from the Creator within, as God speaks to you, so to say, or communicates to you, right? Now, this is why it's important to take time from time to time, and particularly at the right times, to be like this, where you are calm, quiet, serene, the environment is serene, and you're receptive to cosmic or divine guidance and communication, right? Like quiet time in nature, and then you turn off all the gears that are turning and what you're thinking about and trying to accomplish and this, and how do we, and then things become clear, and there's a refreshing, and there's also something like a divine cosmic impulse and idea going into like a neutral state in heart and mind, and then all of the things that are going on are paused or something like that, right? And then there's also a comforting and a healing and and sort of a divine, some moments of truth, for example. What I'm talking about is that a lot of the things that you may be working on from day to day during the 6 days and resting on the 7th day, be my guest, right? All you peoples, all you nations, come get high with us. There will be moments of pause and calm, refreshing, and peace, right? And then a lot of things that are unnecessary also are eliminated. It's like you go out into nature by yourself and then you're calm and then it's quiet and then you see clearly. And a lot of unnecessary stuff is eliminated and you have a clear overview of what's really going on in your life, and the Creator will communicate to you how it should go further. And even beyond all of this, right? As you may notice, there's creation happening. Well, at times, there's not even creative work happening. It's just resting and refreshing, okay? So that has to be emphasized too, because it's not all only work in life. There are moments of pause and there are moments of peace and rest that are even divinely commanded, right? Just thought to share this because I know these things are true, and there is a source of ultimate, super safe, eternally, increasingly good, and sustainably good and overall safe way to live and to go through life, good life, and that is just by having that occasional receptivity to divine guidance and instruction. So, like, for example, you may be looking at the world around you and even receiving divine wisdom and guidance, yet there's an ultimate source of guidance from God within us that will be communicated. And it's not all only just how to do this or how to make this happen, yet there'll be moments of refreshing peace too. Yeah? And also moments of divine information leading to, for example, clarification, right? Like, think about this. There are a lot of things that go on that can be very presently operative with certain things, and then when you have a little bit of time off and some distance, you see what can be improved and how things can be even made much better. So what I'm talking about is like having moments of refreshment and clarification in your life. And they will come from the divine source, and they will be provided for you by the Creator, as always, right? Who always provides perfectly. Now, what is interesting is that one must, in fact, although have a certain amount of, it's interesting. Divine guidance is automatic, yet we have a free will whereby we can also enable this process and even our lives to be much better in the first place by even hearkening to a little bit of divine wisdom. So that's something that should be put out there for the masses. Another thing, and this is part of the reason why I'm making this report, is that, see, the potential for every human everywhere, even past, present, and future and beyond, as far as God wills, the potential for everybody to actually live the best possible life, right? I'm talking about being able to live where you're really living your best, you're resting your best, you're working your best, you're resting your best, and everything is really very good, and it's absolutely magnificent, actually. Because it's like you're on the perfect path, okay? Now, examples of this, and parts of what this leads to, is that you're very happy. So it's just like the same thing where you've got people who are particularly divinely blessed with certain attributes and skills and so on and so forth. And if they are active with what they are designed right, to be active with, and they're happy. Somebody who is, right, living their so-called divine calling and also resting too. See, I'm talking about being in harmony with the cycles of life, living in harmony with them. At that point, it's almost like smooth, happy sailing compared to stormy waters, yeah? Now, the examples of this are many. Generally, a very good, a peaceful, a happy, a good life, a godly life, so to say, right? All of that is part of living in harmony with the cycles of life. And a lot of this, what I'm talking about, is already also easier than it may sound, and it's increasingly provided by the divine source as we go. So what I'm saying is that while this may seem like a lot, it's all also additionally and ultimately divinely guided and made perfect by divine guidance. And so are our lives, right? So, okay, but you have to have a certain amount of knowledge about how life works so that you can live it properly, right? It's almost like if you're going to be a fisherman, you have to know how to fish, right? So it's the same thing with this too. The good thing is, and this is true, is that, like I said, the greatest source of wisdom and the divine instruction and teaching, and where all wisdom about everything in life and the universe and everything comes from, is ultimately from God within us through the holy breath, or from like the universal source and life giver and his the divine mind or the cosmic mind. And that's within us, right? So you have to know yourself here, because it's really interesting, actually, yeah? Now, what makes it very fun and great, and life beautiful and magnificent, is how the divine surprises work. The divine surprises. I'm talking about being able to see clearly as a wise magi or a seer, and a master of your life and your destiny, right? By practically applying wisdom, also receiving divine wisdom, retaining it, practically applying it, etc., right? And also, listen, by being able to be receptive to divine guidance and instruction, even during the day, during regular basic things and times of the day and things that happen, okay? Where basically, at different times and at different moments of the day, you can clearly glimpse and see things, right? And then you have a clear, true insight, oversight, and an overview of your life and everything that's going on, or whatever it is that you're seeking to identify. It's clear to you. This is like cosmic guidance in terms of, or divine guidance in terms of moments of truth. There are moments of truth now that exist. These moments of truth exist, and they happen, and they're important. So it's important to be intelligently receptive to like divine guidance and instruction and communication and clarification, information being imparted to you, right? Like what I'm talking about is, there are times when you will see clearly something you were thinking about, it becomes clear to you. And you realize, okay, wait a minute. I have this hunch, I have this feeling that this is going on. Is this the case? Well, then there's a moment when you can see it clearly. Now, when you see it clearly, here's the thing though. This is along the lines of what people would call intuition or divine intuition. But this thing too, dear guests, friends, visitors, family members, must be gauged, right? Like, must be almost like proven, the validity and the truthfulness of that, just like the validity and the truthfulness of any idea that we have, particularly because of the fact that we have ideas that result in words, deeds, actions, and real life situations, for good or vice versa, hopefully for good. And it all ultimately works for the good, right? these ideas and these moments of truth, when you have a divine revelation or you realize something, wait, this is my calling. No, you got to stop and analyze that with wisdom, because there's a moment when you could have one thought, and that thought might lead to a decision and action in actual real life situations that are And on the other hand, there's a moment you could have a thought and an idea, and that idea will lead to words, deeds, actions, life situation, results, positive results, right? Etc., etc. How do we know? How do we know what way to go, right? How can we make the wisest, sustainably safest, and best decisions in our lives all the time? How? Here is how. You have to basically be divinely guided, and you are, and we all are automatically, generally speaking, and have wisdom, the most perfect helpmate of the highest value and form and nature, be your guide. So it's like God is guiding you and helping you with wisdom that is his perfect, the best helpmate, the best assistance there is in existence, okay? That is how this works. So now, for example, I know, right? It's like if you're looking at your life situation, you got options. We all have decisions to make, right? Well, you can make the best and the safest decision that will lead to the maximum amount of sustainable health, wealth, blessings, good things, good life, eternal life, etc., right? Using and utilizing wisdom. This is highly important. This is the difference between miracle and catastrophe. Now, also rest assured, as I speak of both of these different things, that those things that appear to be catastrophes are, first of all, unnecessary. And secondarily, they can be circumnavigated. And okay, should I go on? Okay, we'll go on now, because this is true and it's really good to know this. And you should know this too. Listen, generally speaking, right, in the life of a human being, right, you've got generally you've got things divided into, and in the world you got things divided into positive, negative, good, bad. You can look at your life situation, look at what can be improved, you can improve it, right? But see, generally speaking though, you have something called basically positive and negative, okay? And that can be applied to all areas of life. So, the difference between a good life and a total disaster happening, right? The difference between a miracle and a disaster. A decision, an idea you have, a word you speak, an action that you take in life can lead to massive results, massively positive or negative. But see, it doesn't just happen right away. So everything starts with a divine source, inspired, right, idea, impulse, thought, words, deeds, actions, and an ongoing, generally positive results in a life situation, and you're shaping your destiny as you go. The thing is that we just have to have a little bit of prudence. And with this little bit of prudence and self-discipline, right, we have something where we have this tool, almost like a measuring tool. Is it like a measuring tool? Not like a measuring tool. It's more like it's like having a gold standard. It's like having a device that has the highest standard and being able to use that to identify the standard of anything else and then utilize whatever is the highest standard from everything that's available. Something like that. There you go. That makes sense. Wisdom includes, because wisdom is such an interesting and a massively good, manifold good thing. One of the things or the benefits of wisdom is that it also gives total safety in life. I'm talking about total absolute safety. Now, some of you may think, how can you be assured that you have total safety in your life and even for all of your life? Because of the fact that I make my free will, right, intelligently obedient to divine guidance and wisdom. And I force myself to make decisions that are wise. Like, this is a thing that is easier than one may think. It can be accomplished by good practice, starting small, starting with small steps and then taking bigger steps, right? And then it's working and it's running perfectly. So what I'm saying is that if you have a little bit of prudence in life, a tiny bit, right? Just a little bit. And you start to actually look at yourself, what you're thinking, look at the life cycles that you're in, and look at what they're good for, and see if what you're thinking is a good thing for this time, right? Then what happens is, basically, you start to see how life works, how it's supposed to work, and what you can actually choose or sort of make happen so that whatever happens will be the best thing that can happen. And that's how it works. That's how it goes. That is called being like prudent and wise in terms of that. See, look. It's almost like you go out to the beach on a sunny day, not when there's a level 5 storm or something, right? So it's like, it's the same logic, just more detailed. You're prudent, you're wise, you're safe. Now, another great thing to know is that, see, all of the problems that exist, they're unnecessary, they weren't supposed to be, and they don't have to be. And this includes anything that could go wrong whatsoever in life. I'm talking about the fact that wisdom also gives us certain insight and detailed insight into how life works, to the point where we can see ahead of time what is essentially going to happen ahead of time, in as much as that there are there are windows of opportunity for different things in life based on how life is cyclical and how there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven. And it's almost like the same thing as a sailor who's standing on the beach, and he knows when the tides come in and go out, and he knows when to launch his boat out with the outgoing tide, so it's easy and it's supportive, right? Smooth sailing, and then to come back in and come back to the beach. It's the same logic that I'm talking about, yet more detailed. Now, all of this and much more can be read all about in a good book called Self-Mastery and Fate, with the cycles of life, right? Now listen, what's really very interesting too is the fact that as you go, the Creator reveals additional wisdom to you. He even reveals so much wisdom at certain times. Remember, because there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven in certain life cycles, right? The Creator reveals wisdom to you that is, it just keeps increasing to the point where you can essentially, first of all, predict the future, and secondarily, make it a certain way. I can predict the future in my life, and I can make the future a certain way in my life, generally speaking, including, though, and this is important to remember, as much as you're able to increasingly and actually see through all of life in your life and how it works and how life in the universe works and God's creation works to a certain degree, right? With due respect to the Most High, right? To Him be the praise, right? It's as if everything is clear to you, yet at the same time, so like the great unknown is known to you, yet there is still the additional divine surprise factor. So what I'm saying is, like, we know that it's going to be a very good journey, and we also know that it's going to be even better than we thought. That's actually how life is. But see, that is also because of having a little bit of prudence too. Because if you don't have prudence, see, it's almost like you're rowing your boat and there are waves. At a certain time, there's waves that can rock the boat. Okay. And if you experience those waves that rock the boat, you'll learn how to navigate safely and to overcome and to manage that. But if I already know when the waves are coming and when they're not coming, I can sail even smoother. And that comes with time. And so that it's simpler for you, though. That's why I'm reporting this to you, because I know these things already. I've experienced these things. And of course, right, you can't force anybody to be wise. It doesn't work. You will become wise gradually because of this, the automatic way that there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven, and how then divine timing and all in due season works, right? So like, look at this. Could I have hearkened to what I'm saying right now myself at age 37 when I was 17? Probably a little bit. I would have hearkened to it, and I would have remembered it even today, and probably been obedient to a little bit of it, but probably been skeptical and maybe not even ready to comprehend it completely at that age. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if you're hearing what I'm saying and it makes sense to you, that's good. If you're hearing what I'm saying and it's sort of, yeah, I see, but, don't even worry about it, okay? But listen to it and remember it. So it's almost like you got humanity now, where some of us have seen things and have received wisdom that is sufficient, right? And some are receptive, some are more receptive. Some say it has to do with age, but what it really has to do with is divine timing. And also the fact that within the life of a human being, there are different like stages where at certain times one is more receptive. There's a time when I could publish this video and talk about this stuff, and a high amount of the humans alive today would receive it and actually benefit from it. There's another time when I could talk and publish this and it wouldn't have as much of a positive effect. It's the same thing as, there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven. Knowing this is good, though, because now I know how to make the best and the most good of this, right? Yet, though, at the same time, human beings, right, based on age, actually, it's interesting, it does have to do with age. Why does it have to do with age? Because within the life of a human, from 0 to 144 years, there are different stages. And in these different stages, there's different receptivity to like things like what I'm talking about. Or like, for example, I could preach this. You could watch this as a teenager. You could benefit from it. You could watch it as an adult. You could benefit from it. You could watch it as a senior and you could benefit from it, right? But what I'm saying is that even if you just hear what I'm saying and you take, like, just kind of keep it saved in your file folder for the future in your heart and mind, right? Even if you do that, someday you'll see and you'll know. So this is because I'm saying this because my dad told me things and I did listen to them, right? I didn't agree with everything he said at the time because of other things that I know to be true. So I was receptive. I was thankful for it and grateful for it, right? And I saved it. I remember what he told me to this day, 15, 20 years ago. I can remember that to this day. So it stuck with me, okay? So what I'm saying is, if what I'm talking about here, if it seems like it's too out there, don't worry, but have it registered and keep it on file somewhere, okay? And then when this type of stuff starts becoming interesting to you, you'll remember what I said. So it's like me looking in retrospect and remembering what my dad told me 20 years later and seeing that my dad was right. He was right. So that's that type of thing what I'm talking about. Now, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's that one has to respect the fact that life is cyclical, and there's a time within the life of every human where it'll be the time for this. And you will hear this and see this, and you will run with this, and it will work. Whereas somebody else might see this and go, I don't know. But hey, whether you agree or disagree, it's good that we have this information being shared because it is the truth. I'm talking about the truth. I'm talking about how the universe works according to God's system of order and how life has been ordered cyclically aright. And it's true. And what's interesting to me is this. Listen, I have reached levels, thank God. There have been moments in my life when I have seen just how absolutely accurate God's wisdom actually is, to the point where it was also a little bit terrible at times. What I'm saying is that sometimes you realize that, yeah, that is actually true, and that is. So what is it then? It just requires that you be a little bit self-disciplined. What I'm saying is that when you know the truth, I mean, it's almost like this. Okay, you're standing at the beach. It's a beautiful sunny day. The weather is good, right? So you go and, you're safe out there. In the water, you're safe, right? Or you're standing at the beach, or no, you know that, okay, wait a minute. Right now it's like this. And later it's going to be at level 5, this and that. Heaven forbid. Okay. You cannot deny when you see and know, and you have to be honest with yourself. Okay, you got to listen to your divine intuition because it will protect you and guide you and even protect your life against every possible threat, against any and every threat. Okay? This is a thing now. I should probably make more about this. Okay, listen closely, all right? Okay, so I was just talking about the importance of being honestly and truthfully, honestly and truthfully acknowledging the divine truths that have been identified as valid with wisdom as our guidance and our, almost like a proving mechanism to prove the validity and the true universal truthfulness of something. What I'm saying now is that there's a thing called intuition. There's a thing called intuition, and it can be correct. So people, as a human, you can have a hunch and it can be right. But as a human, you can also have a hunch and it can be wrong. And if you act on that wrong hunch, not good. If you have divine intuition and like a divine hunch that's correct, and you act on that, it leads to good things, right? The key here is being able to discern this. Now that's why it says, wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. And I'm giving it to you without a vow, because I've got it, all right? And so should you, and so do you, actually. It's all available from the divine source, right? It will be revealed to you. Everything will be revealed to you in due measure at the right times, gradually. It's the case with all of us because God has made it so that everything works perfectly, ultimately, and sustainably and continuously. And there is these cycles in life and these times for the certain things to happen, and it all happens at the right time. The way that you see this is if you zoom out and look at it from a distance. Look in retrospect 30 years and you see actually that worked really good. That was better than what I thought. That's better than what I expected, right? That's divine guidance at work. So rest assured that everything will be very good ultimately. Yet one does have to be a little bit disciplined too, ultimately. So the way that this is that you have something. This is something we should talk about because this is something that has protected my life. Like the Creator has protected my life many times, particularly at certain times. And it was because of being able to see clearly, utilizing wisdom, right? And I'm talking about a divine type of protection. Let's just even rephrase it like this so that anybody can receive this, because you do not need to be from any particular race, religion, creed, national origin, etc. to benefit from what I am telling you and to benefit from what I have benefited from and am sharing with you, right? It's that there's a thing called intuition. If we were going to look at it like in biology class, do you remember seeing the insects that have these feelers and they can like feel and sense things? Almost like having a radio dish on a house that can pick up certain signals and interpret them. Well, a human being also has the same thing. We as human beings have something that has been classified as a gut feeling. A gut feeling is almost like what they would call intuition, and where this becomes most relevant for us as human beings is in the following day-to-day, everyday, and universally applicable example of situations. Human interactions. So anytime we see a person for the first time, no matter who it is, it doesn't matter who it is. And also, listen, you should know that. There's another thing. You need to check out the videos I have on this channel about, if you scroll to the second previous or the previous video about acquaintances, wisely managing acquaintances. There's a time and a place where you can meet anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Okay, it absolutely does not matter. Anyone at all. It's a time and a place you can meet them and it will result in a lifelong good interaction. And vice versa at a different time. That's just one of the examples of how this all works. Another thing, though, that you should pay attention to is if you actually are a little bit prudent and you hearken to wisdom and you apply it in your everyday life. You go to an appointment at the right time. You meet somebody for the first time at the right time, right? Talk about the cycles of life, okay? What happens is you're constantly setting things up perfectly in your life. And things work perfectly in your life because you set it up that way. Okay? That's why wisdom is the best helper and guidance from God, from His source and guidance, right? So, listen though. There's a safety mechanism that exists. There's a universal safety mechanism that exists that we have. And it is within us, and it is what some have called the Holy Spirit or the holy breath, or when God speaks to us from within. We know something, we see something, we clearly, divinely comprehend something in terms of like knowing something. Not hearing a voice in your head, etc. Okay, now look. The truth about this is that, first of all, so the key to eternal safety in life, a big key to that is wisely managing the interactions that we have with other humans. Because from a human being can come a lifelong good relationship or vice versa. It all is based on when you meet the people for the first time. Because based on when the life cycle of a particular thing begins, anything whatsoever, a friendship, a business relationship, etc., based on the time when it begins, it is predestined to be a certain way, though it is ongoingly still susceptible to the different life cycle periods during and while it progresses. But based on when a thing begins in the cycles of life, the life cycle of that thing has been predestined and pre-programmed a certain way. and has a general quality and nature to it that is actually eternal. I've found this out. It's very interesting. So, like, here's the thing. First of all, I'm actually talking about how you can really even literally actually be safe in your life forever. I know how this works. I have done it and I do it for the most part. In terms of having good interactions with other humans, right? Because think about this. Peace between people is based on wisdom that we practically apply in our lives and us being prudent. There's a way to have good interactions, safety, good health, wealth, good relationships with other people, etc. All of this, healthy life, healthy family life, etc. All this stuff. Anything that has to do with human interaction with each other, right? Legitimate, mutually beneficent human relationships, right? This stuff, okay, is so important. And if you are a prudent and you wisely manage your interactions with other humans, just like anything else in life, according to wisdom, you are permanently successful and safe. If you don't, then you can compute the results of that. Now, of course, it's a work in progress, and take your time and just listen to what I'm saying. Don't worry about the details. I'm telling you that there's a way to live that actually results in permanent safety, even in the year 2025 when it appears to be the end of the world. Like, no matter what happens, okay? Okay, look at it. Look at me and how I'm living this. I'll just picture yourself like myself, right? I know exactly what and how and when and where to live, operate, what decisions to make so that I can live the entire remainder of even my physical existence in absolute safety, health, and wealth and goodness. Thank God Almighty. I know how to do it, okay? All it is that you are constantly a little bit prudent and wise. And of course you're divinely guided in addition to that, and God makes it easier, so to say. But the thing is, there is a thing called intuition, and there's a thing called a gut feeling. And anything, as with everything, has to be gauged with wisdom to identify whether or not it is ultimately actually true. So what I'm talking about is this. Let's say you meet a person and you become friends with them. Okay, and then one day you think like, I wonder if he's like wonder what this person actually is. Is this person, this, or like, is he a spy or something? Or, like this type of stuff. Or you might be traveling. It's a lot of this goes on when you're traveling. You're traveling somewhere, you hitchhike with somebody. Or, how do you know who's safe? How do you know who's dangerous, right? Hey, how can you see what is the safe way? And I'm talking about an eternal safe way to go. And how can you see what way is where there's danger on the way? Well, it's with wisdom. And it becomes, and it is, and it always is most relevantly applicable to other human beings. So how do I know who I can trust? Literally, trust in God, of course. Yet who do I know? How do I know who I can trust? How do I know what person is a friend? How do I know what person is, going to do this good or this vice versa, right? In the future. How do I know these things? Wisdom. And so should you. Because based on the life cycles that you're in, you have different things that are scheduled to happen. But what ultimately happens is based on what you make happen with wisdom. And divine guidance and protection includes, it is not limited to, the ability to see clearly through all of life and what's going on and all of your relationships, all the people around you, your friends, your colleagues, whatever. I can see through it all. I know who is who and what is what and what's going to happen with this person. I know what's going to happen with this guy. I know what's going to happen with this, that, the next one. And if I do this, I know that this is going to result most probably, and I have like an overview, a systematic overview of my life. Why do I have this? How do I have this? Because I am informed and I have a map of the cycles of life, and I also map out the cycles of life of things that are important, particularly the people that I meet. So what I'm saying to you is this. You go somewhere, you meet someone for the first time at the right time, that is going to be a good relationship for all of time, generally speaking. And the same exact opposite is also possible. Knowing the difference, simple, it's the cycles of life. Yet, you also have to, it's almost like where they have this map on the wall and there's things being tracked and there's an overview of what's going on and there's an objective. So we have an overview of what's going on, everything that's going on in this area, in this operational area, right? In this theater, right? Divine theater, hallelujah, right? Divine surprises makes it fun, right? And so first of all, we know what's going on, and there's different ships, and we know where this ship came from and where it's going. So we're not going to collide with that one because I know where this is coming from, where it's going. I can circumnavigate every possible danger, right? That's if you pay attention to the cycles of life and you document important events in your life in a journal, a notebook, or a calendar. But now what I'm getting at too, though, is the intuition thing. There's a thing that humans call a gut feeling, and you should benefit from this, work with this, and you will be safe. Talk about ultimate safety. Nobody and nothing can harm you if you pay attention to these details. It's something that I asked the Creator for years ago. I knew it was possible, and then I received it, and I'm thankful for it. You can actually live in total safety, but you have to be prudent. So the thing is, the first time you meet a person, any person, the first time you see their eyes, what actually happens upon meeting a person for the first time, when there is a first glance, you're traveling, you get on an airplane and you see the stewardess, you see eye to eye for a second, right? The flight attendant, or whatever, whoever. You walk into a business and you see someone. There's an instant impression. If you're a little bit a little receptive and a little bit keen, upon seeing a person for the first time, within a couple of seconds, there's a first impression, or kind of almost as if the information about that person and what they do and what they're about and what their objectives are and all this is kind of around them. It's kind of in their aura, and you're looking at them and you're seeing their info in what they are. Sort of like that. And it's just seconds. It's within milliseconds. I know this because I've experienced this, and I've had the situation where I've met people before on journeys, and I had a hunch or a gut feeling when I first saw them eye to eye. Things became it was as if their thoughts and their ideas in their mind that they had, and what they were thinking about me when they saw me, I could read it and sense it and feel it and actually read their minds a little tiny bit. That's actually what happened, because guess what? And I know this because of the following. This actually once happened. I met a person once, and I was looking at this person and we were talking, and I got the feeling, and the intelligent gut feeling and an intuition told me that this person is like this and this and this and that, and is trying to do this and this and that. And I understood it, but I had this hunch and this intuition, but I kind of ignored it because it was like, uh-oh, but I needed something from this person, right? So, whoa, hold it right there. You have to listen to the divine intuition and the intelligent divine intuition and guidance in life, because it will protect your life. Because lo and behold, what actually happened was, when I met this person, I saw this person, I could see what this person was thinking about me and what this person's intentions were. And I thought, whoa, really? No way. And I thought, no, don't worry about it. Just do business with this person. It'll be okay. Sure enough, a month later, it actually turned out to be true. So there are divine intuitive hunches and a gut feeling that we have where we can see another person. And when we see a person, when we look another person in the eyes for the first time, within seconds, there's a very, very subtle informational reading where we can see what this person is and what they're about and what their objectives are and what they're thinking and what their aim is toward us. This actually works. I know this, and I've had it happen a couple times now, to the point where when I looked in retrospect, right, when I had these hunches, I thought, no way, that's impossible. Really? Damn. But I got to do business. I got to do business. I got to rent this. I got to do this. And then sure enough, a month later, I was correct. So now, what if I would have listened to my divine, wisely and intelligently gauged and thus identified as valid intuition right off the bat? It all would have been safer, huh? Well, you can do it now. So do the right thing and protect your life, right? Because listen, there's lots of different types of people out there. You travel the world and stuff, it can be dangerous. It can even be potentially disastrous. But don't worry, because it's just like we're sailing. It's happy, smooth sailing. And it's a beautiful journey, good things, right? And there's a beautiful here and this and that island. But yes, I know that there's this iceberg 1,000 miles that way. Okay, good, no problem. Don't worry about it, right? In your life, right? Be optimistic, be wise, be divinely, intelligently obedient a little bit. You're good to go, right? But so we know that there's a danger, but we don't have to be worried about it because, first of all, we know when and where it is. We can circumnavigate it to begin with. It helps to know when and where there's a danger, though. Think about this. If you knew ahead of time what could go wrong in your life, you can. I do, and so should you. It's by wisdom, because there's a time in your life when things can go wrong and they can't. It's daily, it's monthly, and particularly within certain parts of the annual life cycle period. This is true. What I'm telling you is the truth. I know this to be true because I've experienced this. Even though I was somewhat skeptical, I found it to be true. So I found a key to ultimate safety. Thank God, right? So to say. And look, there is in fact, in reality, it is in fact true that as a magi or a seer or as a master of your life and your destiny, right, you can actually preemptively identify any particular danger. Because the thing is that there's a time when there's a time when it is the time for, and there's a time frame wherein there is safety, and any type of danger, it only even all starts with an idea. So like there is not really anything that's dangerous in life except yourself. And if you don't have a little bit of prudence and you don't wisely live, that's about it. Foolishness, lack of knowledge is the only danger there is. Because with wisdom, you have an overview of it all and you have a way to live that is legit and safe and good to go forever. And I am absolutely and totally and completely telling you all the truth, and this is what I live, and I have experienced this, and I live this, okay? That's why I'm sharing it, because it's actually real, right? These are real things we're talking about. Though they may seem very elated or very far out or very high to some because of just the fact that I'm saying, look, you actually can live your entire life safely. Yeah, it's possible. It's easier than you may think. That's because of wisdom. So that's like having knowledge, like true scientific knowledge, okay, about life. And it's the same thing. You have the examples of this in different fields of human, earth, human, and life activity, different professions. You're a scientist, you know how this works. You can make this work. That's it. It's the same thing here. It's just a different, more of an ancient and more of a universal discipline of self-mastery. Okay. Now, look. So, like it's almost like this. You picture yourself hiking, right? And you're going on a hike, and the hike is your life, and it's a good one, and it's easy at times. It's beautiful, right? And on this hike, there's a couple different on this path, there's a couple different places where there's some things that if you, and only if you, my dear guests, friends, visitors, only you there, not even me. I mean, I can tell you, but if you make this move, then this will happen. And then there's a possibility of danger. And then with that, there's things that can go wrong, and that can include anything that goes wrong in life. But at the same time, you're on this hike, and there's a place where, or we know ahead of time, where there's a place where if we make this decision instead of that decision, then there's a potential for danger. So we already know ahead of time when and where, what is possible, particularly where and when and how things are possible, from ranging from the good things that can happen and the bad things that can, yet do not have to. So this now, listen, okay, I'm going to go on because this is true and this is something that you should consider. Humanity should consider what I'm saying. I actually know for a fact because, okay, let's say I'm presenting a scientific theory to you that I have tested and practically worked with, and it has worked. And so I know that this working model is true, and this can be applied to great or small, right? It's almost like I have a scientific method that was revealed to me. I tried it out, it worked, and this system can be applied to different things. And so I know that what I'm telling you is true because it has worked for me. Okay? And that is it. Look, you can compare it to this. I'm on a path, okay? I'm walking on a path, right? Now, generally speaking, it's easier if I go this way, right? Because this path is already made for me. I can go this way. I can go straight uphill, right? Look at this. It's harder to go right uphill right there than it is to go up here. Okay? That is what wisdom is like. Now, if you picture your life like the path that we're on in life here, right? God, is it that dark already? You can't even see what I'm doing. Well, there's a path in front of me, and there's a steep ravine. There's a steep hillside right over here. What is going to be the easier hike? This is like a 90-degree slope right here. If I try to walk up this, watch. I'm like literally just on a 90-degree slope, or am I going at a 10% slope up here, real comfortable? You can go either way, and you should, because you have to find the truth for yourself. I cannot force you to be perfect because of what I know of how it can be perfect. But you can try it and see for yourself, and that's the key. You've got to see for yourself and try it out. And if you don't try it out, then keep it on file for the future. And when the time comes, then you'll realize that, wait a minute, he provided this information, and now I see why, and now I can use it. It's like having something stashed for the future, and it will come to good use in the future, or even sooner than that. Okay, so, right, where were we? I was saying that with life, first of all of life has actually been made to be good, to be very good. And that's actually the way it is. And now one actually begins to comprehend that all of the problems in life and anything that is bad or evil is totally unnecessary to begin with. Not only is it forbidden, but it's actually unnecessary. And I'm talking about being totally unnecessary. Can you imagine this? So what I'm actually saying is that all the problems that the world has, they weren't even supposed to be. They're not even supposed to be in the first place. They're like out of place. They are a result of something like either. Well, what are they a result of? They're generally a result of something like what could be classified as disobedience to the law. And also a lot of it is like lack of knowledge. Listen, if I know that there is this truth and I gotta, recognize or respect that and live according to that, I cannot fool myself, right? Like, you cannot lie to yourself for very long. You will know, right? So it's like, there's a thing called a conscience, but there's also, what I'm saying is that the world the problems that the world has, these things are actually things that can all be fixed, but it's also because of how there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven that some of us know how to fix the world. I can fix the entire world. I must have good, legit, wise assistance, though. I could technically do it by myself, but that's going to be a lot of talking. And I'm going to have to drink water in between here and there. Like, that's going to be a lot of talking at the right time, okay? Without a vow. I'm just saying that the world can completely be fixed, okay? Why? How come? Well, it's like having a computer. There's an operating system. You are an IT technician. You are skilled, and there's a virus on a computer. You know how to eliminate it and to repair it and have it run perfectly again. It's the exact same thing in a micro example. So that's what's going on in life right now. We've got this beautiful creation, supposed to be very good. It is in part very good. And see, look, it's like the Creator has literally made it so that, look, their task is to perfect the world and keep it perfect. And others, their task is this or that. But see, it's also because of the fact that, like, again, there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven. So if you don't know these things, how are you going to do these things? And how are you going to know these things if I don't tell you because I know them? Well, you might read about it. Maybe you'll see it on TV. Hopefully you'll see this YouTube video. But listen, if you're seeing this video and it really it rings true with you and you're getting it and it's interesting, right? Then you must follow that divine call and inspiration, and you should at least read the books that I recommend. So that's the Holy Law, of course, the Holy Torah, the Holy Bible, generally, and first and foremostly. And also read the Proverbs of Solomon, and then read a book and study a book, including the Holy Law and the Holy Bible, of course. And also read and study a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. Okay, it's available as a free PDF, and thank you to the Ancient Mystical Order of the Rosy Cross for that great, absolutely magnificent publication and this great service to humanity. So you've got, a certain amount of information in books. Another thing is that you have certain amounts of information in books that you, how should we say this? It's like getting theoretical instructions in the classroom and then going out, and then there begins the wise, safe field work. And that's where the real knowledge is gained. Because listen, I can give you theoretical instructions, right? I can say, hey, when you go out into the wilderness, go this way, do this, avoid this, aim for this, and you'll be safe, right? But you have to go out there and actually do it. At that point, you gain real eternal life experience from wise, safe field work and experience. And at that point, you become a master of your life and your destiny, because you've got the theoretical and the practical knowledge, and you have experience, good experience. At that point, you're like a master. You're overcoming. You're like somebody who's like a master at something, where you see this thing on the horizon, you know the best possible way to make it, and it works, and you make it the best way, and it's the best. And you also know what can go wrong, You can avoid that to begin. So it's like your life is actually to be mastered. Now, it may sound like a lot of work. Don't worry. The Creator will assist you with His perfect guidance and wisdom, His helpmate, the most perfect and magnificent. Like if wisdom was a person, okay? Wisdom, right? Or let's say, because wisdom is so immense and so much, it includes so much, but let's say if wisdom was in part personified by a person. So if wisdom, like Chokmah, what's said to be the divine feminine, if wisdom was impersonated by a human, this person that is the impersonation of wisdom, it would be like a person who can fix everything, is like the best possible friend, whatever, family member, etc., partner, this, that. It'd be like the best possible. It'd be like a human who is like God, pretty much. Okay? So picture that. Now, the good thing is that we can be like that because the Creator provides us with that wisdom. But you have to retain that wisdom. Put it in a journal, notebook, etc. Because you got to hold on. Like, look, if there's blessings, you gotta get them, thank the Creator, and then hold on to them and store them up so they can be utilized when it's necessary. So that's why one has to have and manage and maintain a self-mastery calendar. I'm actually very close to the office, so I could show you mine. Should I do this? Of course. Why not? Maybe, I have more videos in the channel about the calendar work, the wise navigation of the life cycles and the calendar work. And in order to comprehend a lot of what I'm talking about in this vlog, you should have or be reading the book Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life a little bit, because a lot of this information is in fact from the book. So yeah, look through the channel, subscribe, like, repost, reshare, retweet. Thank you very much.